Okay, so I'm going to take question 7, which is one of the other software development questions. So we have a procedure here that will take an arbitrary list of whole numbers, so that's these integers, and it will check which of them are divisible by 3. So it's a play on the kind of odd and even with mod, which is what you've done before. Instead of dividing by 2, we're dividing by 3. Numbers that can be divided by 3 without a remainder are written to a text file. We've got this procedure, so the procedure is called divs by 3, and we have a parameter here that I'm going to highlight for later, parameter called list. We've got a remainder local variable and we're setting that to 0, and then we've got this variable index. So instead of calling it loop or count or I, in this question it happens to be called index, and that's going to be important when you're then filling in blanks with code. So this is for the loop. So index from 0 to the length of the list. And actually, to be fair, I have made a slight tweak here. In SQL reference language, technically that should be the length of the list minus 1, but because you're Python programmers, I've kept it as length list, just to avoid any kind of thinking there's a logic error for now. It shouldn't make a big difference to you. Set the remainder to, and I've written an answer there, but I blanked it out, and I'll unblank it in a minute. So we're working out the remainder, and then we're saying presumably if it divides by 3. So if there's no remainder, then the number divides by 3. We're showing that message on the screen. Down the bottom we've got like a main algorithm here that's calling the procedure. So I've got an array called myIntegers, and it's got 3 integers in it, and the ... is just telling me they don't have space to write the rest of them in. Divs by 3 myIntegers, so this is calling, that's calling the procedure, and then myIntegers is a parameter that we're passing in. So using a programming language, complete the missing code for lines 4 and 5. I'm going to do line 5 first. So we've got an if statement here, and if that if statement is true, then it says that number divided by 3. And we know that we're working out a remainder, so if this number can divide by 3, it must be if the remainder equals 0. And we've got this variable name remainder, so I would have to use that. For this one, set remainder to. So how do you work out the remainder if you divide something by 3? So you need to use a function, you need to use mod, which works out the remainder if you divide something by 3. So this is a mod function, first of all, right? %sign in Python is a mod function, so %3 means mod 3. We're dividing it by 3 and seeing what's left over. If it divides equally by 3, then the remainder will be 0. This bit list index. So that's using list from up the top and index from here. So index is going in here and list is going in there. So we've got the array is called list. Index is each item in the list. So because we're in a loop here, we're going around and we're checking one at a time. Is each number in the list, when we do mod 3, is the remainder for that 0, and then we're sending it to display, which means that we're going to be doing this potentially for every element in the array, or we might do it no times at all, but we're not just doing it once. And that's important for part C. First of all, part B, so it uses local and global data. Note that it doesn't say variables here, and there's a reason. So identify one global data structure from the code above. Most of the time when you've had this, you've had local variables, because we can see that we've got a local variable here, we've got remainder, we don't have really any other local variables. Index is a local variable, and list, because it's a parameter, would be treated like it was a local variable. Then I've got outside the procedure, I've got declare this array of myIntegers, and it's been passed in. So this exists outside a procedure, meaning that you could call it, or you could use it anywhere. So myIntegers, because it's declared outside of any modules. You don't need to write that in the exam. I'm just writing that for you for clarity, because I'm going to give you this PDF. Then part C, so using a recognised design technique, redesign the contents of the procedure to show how the matching numbers could be written to a file. So if we look at the description up the top of it again, it says the ones that are divisible by 3 are written to a text file, and this one doesn't write them to a text file, it displays them on the screen. Now this is a design technique rather than a programming language to save you writing everything out, and there's only 2 marks. We're not kind of remarking this part, right, and that, okay? That's already been marked once, you're not going to lose marks for it. The point is these lines that I've put the little emoji next to, so open and close the file and write inside the loop. Now what happens here is, if this was a Python program, and again we're looking at this through the lens of Python programmers, if I open that file inside the loop, so I open the file maybe 20 times and write something to the file and close it, then every time I'm opening it I'm going to overwrite what's already there, at least using the constructs that we've got in the higher course spec. Instead, if I open it once at the start and close it at the end, then every time I encounter one through that loop I write to it, I know I'm still closing it because it's after the loop, so I'm not accidentally leaving it open or anything like that. It's always going to be closed, but this way of doing it means that I'm not overwriting everything in it. So as you loop, inside the loop, you're going to write the results to the file. So this is the sort of thing, if you've got a file that's like this and you are going to have a whole lot of results, then you're writing them once inside the loop.